What's going on, guys? Another day, another shoot. Today I'm shooting a basketball training video, which is awesome. I love basketball. I don't know if you guys know that yet, but I love basketball. I'm doing a basketball training video with Taylor. He's one of the guys that runs EGT, which is Elite Guard Training. So I'll take you guys with me and show you guys some behind the scenes.
It's gonna be good.
Say it ain't so. Think my heart is frozen, yo, I gotta let it go. She won't see me now, she'll probably see me at the shows. Man, what if it's me? I swear I feel it in my bones. It ain't about the money or the clothes, it's about the flow.
Just finished the shoot. Let's go home and start the Q&A. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright, so the first one is, how long have you been filming and editing? Are you self-taught or did you go to school for it? I've been filming since about 2010. The very first time I went out shooting was for this Drake event. He had a signing in downtown Toronto and I wanted to make a little video for it. It was really embarrassing. I don't think I want to show it to you guys, but
Young money, young money. Yeah.
it was the first time I took out the camera and I actually interviewed people.
Where is it? Where is it? That's a boss car. Where is it? He parked it right here? You see it right there?
It was for a website that I had back then called whatsgoodtoronto.com. If you type in What's Good Toronto on YouTube, you'll probably find some of the videos that I made for that. And the second part of the question, am I self-taught or did I go to school? I didn't go to school for it. I was inspired by this group called the Airplane Boys back then.
Yes, we are the Airplane Boys.
It was a local group in Toronto. I was inspired by them to create videos because their videographer was really talented. And I remember back then how they talked about shooting on just regular DSLRs. I was really inspired to start doing my own videos, and yeah, I started with that Drake event. The second question is, what computer are you using to edit your vids? So I'll put up the specs on the screen right now. This is what I'm editing with. It's a MacBook, but it's not top of the line, but honestly, it does the job for me. Hey Brian, are you a full-time freelancer? How do you get enough clients? I am a full-time freelancer at the moment. Mostly I do weddings during the summer. Throughout the year I try to get in as many commercial and corporate gigs. I do have some clients that I work with on a consistent basis. How do I get enough clients? Honestly, you just gotta reach out. When I did my Best of Toronto video, I reached out to tons of companies and brands, and now I'm actually working with some of them. Usually the first gig with a company is free, just to kind of test you out, see how you do. But over time, if your work is good, they become loyal clients. Is it tough? I don't think so. Probably the toughest part is probably the repetitiveness of reaching out to companies and brands. And I suggest if you want to do this full time, email 10 to 15 companies a day. Just reach out until you get that one fish that bites, and who knows, you might end up getting a dozen clients that way. Just don't get discouraged. Which camera do you recommend for vlogging, like a point and shoot? Honestly, I really love the Canon G7X Mark II. Just how they made it, how responsive it is, how responsive the touchscreen is. That's the camera I would recommend getting. Just a little pricey, but I suggest just saving up and getting that camera. You can make crazy cinematics with it too. What laptop do you recommend for people on a budget? I use a Mac to edit, so, and as most of you know, Macs are a little bit pricey. But if you did go on the PC side, I know you can build a computer and probably have a good running computer for around $600–700. I know a couple buddies that built their own computer that edit on them as well, and they told me that they spent under $1,000 on it. So, okay, next question is, do you switch lenses while you shoot? Yes, I do. But when I first started out shooting before, about a year ago, I only shot with a 10 to 18mm lens. I used the 50mm lens a lot now just to get my close, tight shots. But back then I just used to use the 10 to 18mm. So just work with what you have. But right now I used about 2 or 3 lenses. I am planning to get the Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens soon. That one should be really nice. Hey Brian, do you have any recommendations for good, affordable screen recording? The only one I use right now is QuickTime, which is free. It comes with your computer. And I use it for all my YouTube videos, no problems. So next question is the Canon EOS M100 a good camera for doing these kind of stuff, or is G7X still better? The Canon M100 I'm not too familiar with. I did buy the Canon M10 and I returned it. It wasn't amazing. The size, I didn't like the size since you had to attach a lens to it. It didn't retract like a regular point and shoot camera, and also it was a little slow when you had to focus on a subject. I believe with the M100 you're able to shoot in 60 frames per second in 1080p, which is really good. And compared to the G7X, G7X all the way. Next question, what options should I use when I record to be able to get the slow motion in post? Shoot in 60 frames per second, at least. If you don't shoot in 60 frames per second, if you shoot lower than that, you'll probably have a hard time editing it, because if you shoot something in 24 frames per second, it'll probably be a little choppy. So at least 60 frames per second. Why do you use Final Cut over Premiere Pro? Well, I started off with iMovie in 2010, and then I transitioned over to Final Cut Pro probably a year after that. I've just been using it since, and I'm so familiar with it. I started using Premiere Pro last year. Might make the change to it later on, but as of right now, I'm going to continue to use Final Cut Pro. So what setting do you use for filming at low light and slow-mo? Again, in slow-mo, 60 frames per second or 120 if you can. In low light, I would suggest 60 frames. Nothing higher than that unless you're using a fast lens, like a Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens, so that it can let in more light. 16 to 50mm kit lens, or 10 to 18mm for vlogging. The 10 to 18mm for vlogging, hands down, probably one of the best for vlogging. Autofocus is quick, sharpness is pretty good, and it's an extra wide lens, so you'll always be in a shot even if you're not looking at your screen. What model LaCie do you have, and what is the transfer speeds? So for those who don't know, a LaCie is a hard drive, and this is the one I have. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is the Thunderbolt version, and it says the speed is 110 megabytes per second. A couple people have told me that this isn't really the best for editing, but I've been using it for more than a year now. I haven't had any problems at all. That's why I'm gonna recommend it. What picture profile do you use? On the Sony a6500, I use PP8 Cine 4. I've tried using S-Log2 before. Not too experienced with editing that kind of footage in post. My footage ends up being really grainy, so I'm gonna play around with that a little bit more though. Are you happy with the 10 to 18mm lens? Yes, absolutely happy with it. I was close to selling it about a month ago for the Sigma 60mm, but I'm gonna keep this, and I'm also gonna add that to the gear list. Are you still happy as of today with your Sony? Have you ever considered the GH5, and if so, why did you not buy it? In December 2016, I was considering buying this or the Panasonic GH4. I decided to go with the Sony because of this YouTuber. I'm sure you guys know of him. His name is Brandon Lee. Amazing videographer, amazing filmmaker. He uses a Sony, and he just had all these videos that just pretty much convinced me to go Sony. I'll put his link in the description below. Check out his work if you guys haven't seen this stuff yet. But I'm absolutely happy with the camera. It's lightweight, it's what I wanted. I'm also a run-and gun shooter just like Brandon Lee, so it's a perfect camera to have with me. What ND filter did you get for the 10 to 18? The ND filter that I bought is this one here. It's made by Cameron. I got it at the local camera shop. It's a variable ND filter, so you can change it depending on how much light or how sunny it is outside. Another thing that I do suggest you getting is, it's called a step-up ring. So if I needed to use this on my other lens that's slightly smaller in thread size, I would just use the step-up ring to attach it to it. It's pretty cool. It's 15 bucks. Must have. Hi, nice bag. Any links please, or a review maybe? The bag I am using, I got it at B&H when I was in New York a couple years ago. It's just a basic Case Logic bag, nothing special, but I just throw in my stabilizer here, all the camera stuff in there, and my laptop in the back here. I got a few other questions that people just randomly asked me. Do you always use your gimbal for every shoot? I say 90% of the time. I know you're supposed to get creative and not use your gimbal all the time, but just the way I shoot, I like to implement the gimbal. Do you have another YouTube channel? I do actually. I'll put the link down below. It's actually a family channel with my wife and my daughter, and check it out when you guys get the chance. It's not camera related or anything, but a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff, and I tell some cool stories there sometimes. What microphone are you using to record your audio? Here I have the Blue Yeti. It's a podcast mic, but you can use it for anything, but I use it most of the time when I do my YouTube videos. And are you getting the Mavic Air? I don't think I'm getting the Mavic Air. It looks awesome. I love the size, but the DJI Mavic Pro is doing its job for me, and I don't have any problems with it. So unless I crash it again.
are familiar faces.
And the bonus question is, how do you maintain that epic beard? Let me show you guys. You gotta make sure you shampoo and condition it well. And then you blow dry it after. And once you're done, just comb it out. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this type of stuff, make sure to like and subscribe down below. And if you have any questions, put them in the description down below. I will include it in the next Q&A that I do. If you have Instagram, add me at Brian Primetime. I get a lot of my questions from Instagram as well, so make sure to add me there. Peace.